The RCMP Special Technical Analysis Lab in Ottawa has helped in many Canadian cases to break open devices, thwart encryption, cases of national security, kidnapping, drug trafficking, and murder. Now, the RCMP won't talk about how they get past encryption, but there is one possibility. It's a technique called chip-off, where the police actually get their hands on the physical phone. This forensics company gave us a demonstration of how it works. They open up a BlackBerry, heat it up to physically remove internal chips sealed inside. Then using software and a special reader, they try to analyze and unscramble the messages and information.
Good tea. Anyways, thanks to you for joining me for another video. Today is going to be mostly about forensics, and I'm going to see if I can make this a two-part series. Because I got a lot of requests on TikTok and on YouTube to talk about more about forensics, so here I am, talking about forensics. So I think the most asked question about this type of field of work is how do you get into it, what's required, software, hardware. So I think in this video I'm going to focus mostly on the certifications that you would need, your certification, and then the software side and what else is required. Now in the second video I'm going to probably go over the hardware. I'm going to mention some hardware in this video, but I think in the second video I'm probably going to demonstrate some of the hardware. I mean, if you follow this channel, you probably have seen me use a bunch of these tools, but yeah, so let's get into it. Now at the beginning of the video you saw a CBC video from 2016. Obviously I look different now. I did lose some weight, clearly, but you can see then our lab was a little bit different. It is totally different now. We'll go over that in the second video, but this is when CBC came to us regarding a chip-off case and decrypting a BlackBerry. Now it is a bit more complicated than what they were showing. They just want to see how chip-off itself is done. I have some knowledge on the decrypting stuff on BlackBerries, but I can't talk about it, unfortunately. That's one thing you're gonna deal with forensics, is you're gonna sign a lot of NDAs, and some things you just can't talk about. So how would you get into forensics? Well, you have two options here. You can go and get your computer science degree, and that pretty much will probably give you the basis to become a forensic investigator. Because what really is computer forensics? So computer forensics is a branch of digital forensic science. So you pretty much you're going to be looking for evidence on digital hardware or on computers or whatever you're looking at. You're going to be looking at looking for evidence. Now there's procedures you have to follow, and all that is, you know, hashing of the evidence and chain of custody and all that stuff. I might talk about it briefly, but this is probably a more in-depth discussion than this. So where did I get my certification? So I got my certification here from the ISAFCE, which is the International Society of Forensic Computer Examiners. So I have a CCE certification. So my certification covers pretty much broadly computer forensics, because there's people who get like NK certification, or they get some other specific to single tool certification like Celebrite. That gives you just certification to be an expert in that particular tool. But with CCE you pretty much covered everything. Now certifications are not enough. I mean, you can have tons of different certifications, but then you might not have any experience in this stuff. I mean, usually if you're gonna go to court as an expert, which I have done on multiple occasions, the side that hires you, they would prefer someone with more experience than tons of certifications, because you can have so many certifications but you might not be that proficient in what you're doing. So I have a bit of both. I have a lot of certifications plus I have a lot of experience, so I have a mix of both, which is pretty much the best thing to have. Now I've been certified for almost 11 years, and I've been pretty much doing forensic work since then. You know, and you never stop learning, so you always keep going, and you know, you have to be on top of things here, because if you're not, then you're pretty much gonna fall behind very quickly. and that's the biggest drawback. But that goes for any field. You're gonna have to be on top of these things. You have to learn every day. You have to follow the what the trends are. Gotta do a lot of reading, but that's pretty much what you have to do. So let's look at ISSC. So they have a boot camp. I think it's in Georgia. So you can either boot camp in Georgia. Now because of COVID, there is no boot camp. You can do it online. Now to pass CCE, it's rather difficult. You gotta have an average of 80 or 85% to pass. The way it used to be structured, I don't know, it's probably still the same now. So the way it's structured, it's you first you pay after you do your training. Even you don't have to, you can just go straight to it. But I mean, I would suggest you do your training. So you get a written test. That test is like it's just them making sure that you can even do this type of work. So this test is rather difficult. And if you pass that test, then you can go on to getting your first 3 kind of fake cases that you have to investigate, and then you have to write your report. The cases are pretty straightforward. I mean, to me, they are now. When I was doing it, they were like, "Holy crap, what is this?" I mean, but you know, it's not crazy. It's just as long as you know your procedures, you would have no problem passing this test. So they give you, I think, 2 months per case. So you have a floppy case, then you have a CD-ROM case, then you have a hard drive case. It might have changed now. I don't know if it's still the same. I mean, it's been 11 years. It for sure has changed. So, and then once you certify, you have to recertify every 2 years. And it's not as simple as, you know, I just go and pay them to recertify you. You have to either prove you've been working on real cases, and you have to give them the list of cases you've been working on. You have to show them that you've been learning other things. So you have to show them what books you've been reading in the last 2 years and all that stuff. So you do have to prove to the board that you are still doing this, because you can quickly fall behind. So once you are certified, you can start your career pretty much. You can start looking for a job, and I'm sure if you look around for jobs, you'll see a lot of times you do look for CCE certification or CFC. There's a bunch of different ones, but CCE is well known in this field, so that's why it's good to have. So once you are also, you also have to be notarized and go to your lawyer, and you have to do a background check, all that stuff. That's all you have to do. Let me see if what they have here on the website. So this is you can look at some sample cases they have on the website, and I'm going to link everything below. Everything we'll talk about today, and I'll link it below. So here we go. You can open these cases and you can play around with it, and it's on their website there. Do they still have? Let me see something. They used to have certified individuals you can look up. Oh yeah, there we go. So once you're certified, you will be listed on their website. So let me see if you can find me. My name is not secret. I am a public figure. I'm well known in the forensic field, so obviously I'm not gonna hide my name. So here I am. Here's my name, my email address. Sorry, my link to the company. So if someone's looking for someone specific in the area, they'll find you through here, and that's what's good about being on this website. So that is ISFCE. They have a lot of information here you can go through yourself. They have a forum. Once you're a member, you have a forum. You can go ask for help. You also become part of their CCE mailing list, which is a private mailing list. It's only computer forensic examiners that are on that list, so you have access to all these people. There are people from you know, government officials in America and all over the world. So it's definitely a great I guess major brain you can access, because if you're stuck on a case, you can really reach out to these people. Okay, moving on. So once you are certified, you either gonna work for a company or you're gonna open your own business. I mean, if you open your own business, you're gonna need a lot of money, because I mean, forensic tools are really expensive. So you are gonna have to buy some of them, and then not only that, you have to pay a yearly fee to use them. Some of them are pretty pricey. So let's start with the first one that I use a lot, and you've seen me use it in some videos. For what you saw me use it for, it's nothing. It's super powerful. It can do a lot. I want to do a deep dive video about Axiom one day. So hopefully that's gonna happen eventually. So anyways, Magnet Axiom, they have many different tools, but the one we use mostly is Axiom. You can acquire cell phones, computers, hard drives, all these things, and you can put them through Axiom and it will find it for you. It's really good with third-party apps, especially on mobile phones. And it's not cheap. It was developed by a former police officer out of Canada. So most jobs require you have knowledge on Axiom. I think you can get a 30-day trial from them, so you can play around with it. The other one that I used to use a lot, and not so much now, is X-Ways. X-Ways it was a German product. It's a really good software. You don't have to keep paying a license for it to continue to use it. You can buy it once, but you won't get any updates, and we can still use it. We used to pay for license. I think we haven't paid in the last 3 years, but I still use it occasionally. So X-Way it looks very simple, but it's extremely powerful. There's also Ncase. I don't know. I don't really use Ncase, so I can't really talk about it. I've used it a few times back in the day, but it's been so long that I don't really remember anything of it. And I'm only talking about few tools. I'm not gonna talk about all of them. There's just so many tools. There's the free ones like Autopsy. So if you want to get a free tool to play around with, then Autopsy is the one to get. It can do phones. They had a free training a year ago and free certification because of COVID. So I hope some of you maybe took advantage of that. That was really good to have. They might still have it. I mean, I don't know. But Autopsy is really good and it's completely free. Moving on. So probably you should do more than just computers. Phones are becoming the weapon of choice for a lot of people. So phones are definitely what we get most of. We used to get a lot of computers. Now it's kind of moved over to phones. So phones, you know, you have few options. I'm only going to talk about the ones I've used and the ones I use now. So the one I use right now is Celebrite, but we'll get to that after. So Oxygen is pretty well known. We had a few trials of Oxygen to test it out. We're still on the fence whether we want to buy it or not, so we're holding off for now. But it's pretty good. They keep adding new features. It's really good at the reports. I know people that use it and they really like the way the reports are created and structured. Very simple to follow. Another one, this is the biggest player out there, is Celebrite. And now Celebrite actually has a lot of more companies underneath now. They have Macquisition, they have a few other ones which I'll talk about in a minute, but Celebrite itself, you've seen me use on this channel many times, and that is the tool that we use all the time. And that was like the best purchase we did. It's not cheap, but it's gonna be the best purchase you're gonna make for your company, or if you're gonna work in a company, you're gonna enjoy working with Celebrite because you can break into phones, you can extract a lot of data. So Celebrite is great. Now I've been using, when I get a phone in, when a phone comes in here, the first thing I do is I do my Celebrite dump, then I put it through Axiom sometimes, and just to have two forms of, they can validate two different extractions. Sometimes I'm using the third tool if I need to, but overall Celebrite is a great tool for cell phones. There's another one called XRY from MSAB. We had that for 2 years. I personally weren't happy with it. Once they did an update from version 6 to 7, I think, I absolutely hated the UI. It wasn't intuitive to use. It was hard to use, so we just stopped paying for the updates, and that's pretty. I still have it here, but I don't use it. So yeah, I mentioned Macquisition. So Celebrite, this is all the tools they have. They have the digital collector. These are former tools that used to be called something else. It's just they renamed them now. They have a lot of different tools. Now, I don't use any of the other ones. All I have is Macquisition and Celebrite itself. But that's enough for this company. For what we do, this is more than enough. Now, moving away from software, and I'm just going to briefly talk about the hardware. So you're also going to need a write blocker. That is a must. A write blocker is a must. Here's a Gardonics. I had a video on Gardonics. This prevents, so if you plug in a hard drive for imaging, this prevents your computer to writing back to the drive, because if you're handling evidence, you really shouldn't be writing back to it, because you have to take an image, you take hash values, and I had videos on forensic imaging already, so you can You can watch it there. I'm going to link it above. Is it here? Yeah, on this side. So you can watch how forensic imaging works. I made the video a few months ago, so that's a video you should watch. So Cardonics, there's also Tableau, and there's a few other different tools, but you know, we have DFIR Imager, plus we have Cardonics, so we use that. So now here's some pitfalls about forensic work. So you are gonna be given material to look that could be very explicit. So this type of work is not for everyone. And by explicit, you should use your imagination. I'm gonna mention what it is. It's one of the worst form of things you can find online. So I had to deal with this multiple times. You know, it could really be hard on you because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Like in law enforcement, police has support. They can take time off to debrief from these kind of things that they see. I can't. I mean, it's only two of us in this company, so really, it's you know, if I feel that one day what I see all the time is going to impact me negatively mentally, I might have to seek professional, someone to talk to. But so far I've been okay. You cannot dissociate yourself from what you're seeing. You know you're doing work to help put someone in jail or maybe exonerate someone, so you kind of have to put aside this and just focus on your work. So there's ways not to see this kind of material. There's you can look at hashes and just compare hashes to a known database, and then you don't have to see it. But you're gonna have to view some of that stuff, and it's obviously not easy for people to look at, me included. You're also gonna sign a lot of NDAs, so you will not be gonna be able to discuss a lot of things you do. NDA is a non-disclosure agreement that you'll be forced to sign by a client, because you might be working on a high-profile cases that are in the news. So obviously you are trusted with this information, so you obviously can't be discussing with other people. But yeah, that pretty much covers introduction to forensic, what you need. I probably forgot a few things. I tried to keep notes of what I'm going to talk about, but I might have forgot something. I don't know. But if I did, I'm going to maybe mention in the next video, which will be next week, and that's going to be more on the lab side of forensics. So this was just the beginning. But yeah, I'm going to have to clean up the lab because I'm sure it's a mess back there. Well, it's a working lab, so obviously it's a mess. Okay, welcome to part 2 of the forensic video. So I'm going to go over some of the things I have in this lab. I touched on some of these things in the first part, but I'm not going to show everything in the lab because a lot of this stuff is used strictly for data recovery, but a lot of the things are used for forensics. So I'm going to go over a few things, specifically the more important things that you probably need in your lab. So let's get to it and see what I use. So majority of work is done here in one of these systems here. So this is the thread ripper that I use for ingesting things like forensic cases through Axiom. This system here is the one with dual monitor. This one here is for Celebrite and a bunch of other forensic work. But I mean, majority of forensic work is always done here, unless you have some hardware issue when we have to go to on that side there where we have more data recovery tools. We have the microscope and rework station. I'll go over that in a minute, but most of the work is done here. So starting from this end is our Mac. I use that mostly for video editing and a few other Mac related things. Then we have this machine here. And like I said, these here are the dual monitors for that station. And then we have the thread ripper there. I also use that machine here for other jobs, but most of the time forensic work. And you can see there's a flash extractor, there's a PC3000, there's a VNR, so all the tools are there. And this computer here, mostly Celebrite and some other forensic tools, but that's what it's used for. So here we have a assortment of cables, most used ones from Celebrite. Here I have mostly all my dongles that I use for various jobs. There's MFT dongle, there's Elcomsoft and X-Ways and Chimera or Chimera, whatever you pronounce it. Bunch of USB sticks. I have my SSD drive, portable SSD drives, some other things, some hard drives with some things that I work off. Then we get over here. These are my test phones. So here I have a bunch of different test phones that I use, especially if I'm working on a forensic case. Then if I need to test something, then I have different kind of phones. I got iPhones, I have Android phones. And then we move over here. And you can see our Celebrite, it's right there. So we have a Celebrite 4 PC, which is this dongle right here. That's what we use here. And I'm just in the middle of recovering some job. Another great purchase that's very underrated. It's power controlled USB hub. This one right here. So you have buttons for each individual port. Plus you have a data only port. Sorry, power only port. That's pretty useful. So especially if you're working on multiple devices, you don't want them all popping up in Celebrite. If I'm only working on one, then I put it through here. If I'm doing something else, I also want to have some control over USB. And over here we have then over here in this mess we have XRY hub and my Raspberry Pi. I'll do a video on the Raspberry Pi, what I use it here for. Actually, this Raspberry Pi has a great function for our lab here. In there I have lots of micro SD cards, SD cards, SIM cards, and things like that. And then we move over here. So this is the Threadripper station. You can see it here. So like I said, this computer is mostly used for Flash and Axiom. Right now I got a case going right here. This is another blob I'm working on right now. Maybe that's gonna be a video. I don't know. Maybe not. We'll see. And we have Gardonics. We use that quite often. It's a great write blocker. So yeah, you will need a write blocker when you're doing imaging. So I use this write blocker. I also use the PC3000. I also have a Deep Spray Imager. We'll get to that in a minute. And also I have hot air station. I use it occasionally for Flash if I have problem with Flash, but I find cold works better with Flash than hot, but it's good to have. But I always got a can of cold spray if I need for Flash. So that's going to be on this side. So pretty much, I think what to take away from this side is PC2000, super important. Flash Extractor and VNR, I don't think I've used it for many forensic cases. Sometimes you might get something really destroyed, so you might have to recover it that way. So VNR and Flash Extractor is great for that, but these are mostly used for data recovery. And once again, you see I have my USB hub that I can control each individual port, and my magnet Axiom is plugged in. It used to be called IEF. I also got this toaster, whatever the hell it's called. I use it for plugging drives in, but that's this station right here.
Okay, so now we're on the other side of the lab. So you can see here, Deep Spray Imager is just running here. There, we use it a lot for forensic imaging and for data recovery. We have the forensic add-on. We have another machine here that deals with RAID stuff and some other forensic jobs. This is mostly like a side workhorse for ingesting data. Then we have our older PC3000, the older UDMA version. Most of the time this is only used for data recovery. It's not used for anything forensic, but it's good to have. And on this side, the last computer is a Linux machine. This computer used to be used a lot for forensic imaging. I had my own write blocker here, but since then we moved away from this. We use it for other jobs now, but still use it quite often. So these computers get used a lot. There's only 2 monitors because I just remote into them. I don't need a screen in every system. and an older system there doing some other work. And then we move over here to our to the far side of the lab. This is the bench. I'll start from this side. So they have the hot air station, very good hot air station, not expensive, really good one. I have the microscope with the camera, mostly for YouTube videos, power supply, and this JBC Nano. That was a great purchase. Very happy with this. The only problem with this one is tips are expensive and they burn out very, very quickly. So the tip I can give you here is don't use 700 degrees. It's best to use much lower temperature, and your tips will last a lot longer. I learned this the hard way. And on this side we have our laminal flow bench for head swaps, and then piece de resistance, we have our infrared station here. This gets used quite often, not that often on YouTube videos. On YouTube videos I use a different method to removing chips, but I actually use this thing way more than I show in the YouTube videos. It would be kind of boring if I use the same method every single time in the video, so I switch it back and forth. So that's pretty much covers the lab. Probably missed a few things, but that's pretty much all of it that's being used the most at all times. Okay, that pretty much covers the entire lab. I probably missed a few things here and there. I mean, we just have so much stuff here in this lab that I just can't remember, but I went over like the most important things, and but that's pretty much what we use at mostly at Celebrite. I mean, Celebrite is #1, and probably PC3000 for forensic imaging, and the other PC3000 for forensic imaging. The portable PC3000 is great because I can just take it anywhere. If we have a client that needs a bunch of hard drives imaged, just take it with me and I can do it there on site. There's a few things I didn't mention. So on my screen here I have the EasyJ tag. That's used quite a bit to fixing boot issues or imaging through ISP if chip off is not allowed. So we'll use EasyJ tag. Riftbox used quite a bit, and then Medusa ProBox. So we do have a bunch of other tools. There's also another ones for some old Blackberries that we use. The I think I used it in some videos. Forgot the name of it, but it's back there. It's I might just put a shot here of what it is. But if you watch this channel, you for sure have seen it because I've used it many times. So that covers the lab. This lab is set up this way. Your lab or any other lab you see might not necessarily be set up the same way because everyone builds their lab to fit their needs. But this covers this part 2. Now, part 3 is going to be mostly about code appearances, writing reports, because you are going to be writing a lot of reports when you're in this field. You're going to have to write everything down. When it comes to reports, you have to write everything down that you're doing, what you're finding, of things like that. So report writing, you know, I have a style. You might have a different style. Everyone's different. And also one thing I forgot to mention in the last video, I also utilize virtual machines quite a bit. So if you're dealing with explicit content, you either need a separate machine that's not connected to the internet, or you can build yourself a virtual machine that's not connected to your network. And anytime we have explicit material, it goes to the virtual machine. Machine is encrypted. It has 2 passwords to get into it. And then once we're done with the material, we destroy the virtual machine. And since it's encrypted, nothing remains on our system. So you got to take precautions like this, because obviously if you're working on that kind of material, you might end up getting charged for having this material if you're not careful. So you have to pretty much be careful when it comes to things like this. So yeah, that covers part 2. Gotta get my good tea over here. I need to drink some nice green tea before I start. Alright, part 3 of the forensic series. Not sure if it's gonna go to part 4, but part 3 definitely. I wanted to make part 3. I want to discuss mostly court things, you know, going to court and all that stuff, what you need to know, what you gotta be prepared for. And I'm gonna touch a little bit on the report writing. So let's say you've been a forensic investigator now for a few years, and finally the time has come, you're gonna have to go to court. Now, when I started doing this about 11 years ago,
For the first few years, there was no court. Most of my reports were good enough. They were submitted to court, and case was either dismissed or my client was set free, or whatever the case might be. That's what usually happened. And then eventually, I ended up being summoned to go to court for a case. I think it was in 2014 or 2015. It wasn't a criminal case yet. It was, I think it was just a regular court. But anyways, I was a little bit, intimidated because, you go into court. I've never been to court where I've been on the stand and all that stuff. So it was okay. It went through fine. There was some back and forth between me and the opposition with the lawyer, but the judge saw that the lawyer is being unreasonable, so he told him to drop the questioning because it was something stupid. Like he was trying to compare, saying that one email client is not the same as the other, but what I was trying to tell him is fundamentally email is all the same underneath. So there was no point arguing over this. It was just a stupid argument. So that was that. So then I had a talk with Scott Moulton. I don't know if you know who Scott Moulton is. He's a forensic investigator plus a data recovery expert. He runs a company out of Georgia. So I had a talk with him. We had to discuss a little bit. I want to ask him some questions about court, and he said, next time you're in the situation, all you got to do is, if they ask you these questions, you respond with a question. And the next case I was involved in, I was almost in an identical situation, and obviously I replied with a question, and the lawyer didn't know how to answer me next. One thing you have to keep in mind, when you're in court and the prosecutor or whoever is asking you questions, they already know the answer. They're not asking you because they want to know. They want to know what you're going to say, because your report, you've written your report, right? So they already know these answers. They're not asking you just to ask you. They really want to know, see if you make a mistake and things like that. So, you also have to keep in mind that you're going to be the smartest person at the time in court when it comes to that specific subject. So if you're there and they're asking you questions, just make sure you answer what you wrote in your report. So be mindful what you write in the report. I always tell people, put everything you found in the case in the report, but then you also have to be careful, because you can make a mistake and they'll catch you on it quickly, because they're going to have opposing experts look into your report. So I had someone who had an opposing expert look through my report, and instead of attacking me on my findings, he did a personal attack. So case was dismissed, because if you have nothing to attack the opposition on, you best not to attack them personally. So a personal attack is not something you should be doing if you're an expert and you reviewing another expert's testimony or the report, because then you makes you look kind of stupid. But yeah, that's what happens with these reports. So and in courts. So when you're in court, if you do kind of catch yourself making a mistake, I had a case. I was in a high-profile case out of another province, and I've noticed when the defense side, when they were grilling the person that was on the stand, he made a mistake. Now, instead of owning the mistake, he kept arguing with the lawyer, for the defense lawyer, and he kept going and going. And I thought, this is the stupidest thing ever. This went on for an hour. Instead of admitting, hey, listen, instead of looking at the report and saying, I see the mistake, I see what you're trying to get at. Yeah, I could have done this another way. But instead, he kept arguing with the lawyer, and it made him look stupid. When it came to me testifying, I had to answer a question. There was a report that I had to read, and the way it was written, it wasn't written clear enough for anyone to understand, because there was few of us on the expert as expert witness on this case, so we were all on the same team. And as we were talking to, as we were being asked the questions, what happened is all of us made the same mistake, because the way the sentence was written didn't make any sense. And me, instead of arguing with the lawyer, I said, you know what, this sentence doesn't make sense. I didn't want to argue with the prosecution. There was no point, because the sentence was written so badly that it just didn't make any sense. And there was another mistake that I've done in my report where I guess I was right what I said, but the way I written the sentence, it didn't make sense. So when the prosecution was going through my report, say, oh, you've written this and this and that, this doesn't sound correct. And I took my report while on the stand, and I read my sentence, and I said, I get it. I could have written it differently. The point I was trying to get across was this. I just didn't put it on paper correctly, but let me let me correct it now and say, and I said what I had to say. I have to say it in code a little bit because I can't discuss the actual case because it's still privileged information, so I can't say it in a YouTube video because it doesn't make any sense. Especially if you sign non-disclosure agreements, which I talked about in the previous videos. You can't be talking about it in a YouTube video, obviously. So yeah, court is not too bad. I mean, it's you're gonna find yourself with lawyers that are gonna try to grill you, gonna try to put you against the wall. Just stick to what you wrote in your report. Don't deviate because you're the expert, so you shouldn't be deviating from your expert opinion. If your opinion is A, B, and C, you can't be talking about D, E, and F. You know, so you're gonna have to stick to what you said originally in your report. Now, if you're wrong, you can correct yourself, but you have to explain why. But overall, court appearances are a good experience. I do enjoy going to court. It's a great experience. You get to see the whole court proceedings. Now, they might not let you sit in the entire case because a lot of times there could be other experts talking. So you are not supposed to be in contact with the other experts, or actually, well, you can be in contact. You just can't hear their testimony because that might influence you. So they might make you also leave during other testimonies because you're not supposed to be hearing all the evidence. You kind of have to be impartial to everything. All you got to do is talk about what you found, your findings, and answer questions in court. So usually when you go to court, the first thing is if you're working for defense, the defense is going to ask you questions first. That's going to be very simple because it's they're not grilling you. You are on as their experts, so they're going to be asking you all the questions. And then after that, the prosecution might get a whack at you, as to say, and then they're going to be asking you a lot of questions, and they're going to be hard on you. So you gotta know your stuff. You can't be guessing. You gotta watch the word you use. You can't say, "Oh, I think that." You have to be really specific as you're talking about certain evidence. You have to say, "I know that this and this happens." You can't just say, "Oh, I think this happens." You can't. These are not the words you can be using. Now, it's different for everyone. I'm only speaking from my personal experience, so I know some of you who've been to court as experts, you might have a different opinion on this, but I'm only discussing my side and how I dealt with it when I was in court. So that's pretty much covers the court. I want to just touch on the reports. When it comes to reports, the procedure is the most important. You have to discuss the procedure itself. So if you have evidence coming in, just discuss what the case is about, your mandate. You can talk about your just write everything down, like the whole whatever you started from. So if you receive let's say it was a hard drive, you receive the drive, recall the serial numbers, take photos, write all the steps you took, forensic imaging. Make sure you mention that you did you use a write blocker, you take hash values, use your hashes, explain what everything is. Remember, whoever's reading the reports is stupid, and I don't mean they're just stupid because they're stupid. What I mean is they don't understand these things. You have to be, imagine you telling your parents about this. So you have to make it very easy to understand. Don't make it too complicated, because one of my first few reports were way too complicated. People didn't understand. You might lose as an expert if you're not simple enough. Like, remember, judges when they're reading the reports or whatever, they don't know anything about computers. So you have to simplify it as much as you can. I always keep it as simple as I can. So, you might have to explain what a hard drive is. I mean, I had a case where I had to explain file system structure and then what certain things mean. I had to really explain it because if someone's reading it, they need to understand. Some people might not even know what a file system is. You got to tell them, well, file system is what it is, right? So obviously, these are the things you have to keep in mind, that people who read these reports, they're not technically savvy. Now that I mentioned the judge, also I had a case where I was in court, and I remember they asked me about how are text messages deleted, what happens to them, and this was back in 2017, and I started talking, oh, the SMS SQL database is this, and I looked over at the judge, and she was like, she was lost, and I thought, holy crap, I am way too technical. So I start using analogies where I mentioned, the SMS database is imagine it like a book, and then you have SQL records, they're like index, and the messages are the pages. So you just have to be mindful of who's reading and make sure they understand what you're talking about. So anyways, this will be part 3. I pretty much covered all the topics. I'm sure I might add to this eventually in some other videos. Definitely, I'm not sure what other topics I would cover in forensics. This is one of the more important ones. I think core appearances are definitely going to be hard for some of you who go into forensics for the first time. But just remember, you are the expert. You're going to be the smartest person in that room in this field. So you just have to be mindful of everyone in there. Make sure you explain everything. My problem is I speak way too fast, so I have to control myself when I talk. I have to speak very slowly. Even right now, I'm speaking way too fast. So it's just the way I am. But in court, I'm okay. I slow it down and I explain everything.
And I'm back for part 4. I wasn't gonna make part 4, but I've decided to actually make part 4 for a few reasons. One is that you know, there's so much more to computer forensics than just those 3 parts you watched. I hope you watched them, by the way. But there's just so much I can add to it that I figured why not show off some free tools you can get to perform computer forensics. So before I start, if you could please hit the like button and then share my video. It really helps the algorithm and helps my channel a lot. I mean, it's free. All you gotta do is click on it, and then you know, I get the algorithm and you get satisfaction of helping me out. So let's get into it of the topic of today. So what I'm going to talk about today is some free tools that are available in forensics. Now I use them myself. I use one of them quite often. I'm going to mention 2. The other one I don't use very often, but I have used it previously. It's pretty good, but I prefer the first one. So I'm also going to show a demonstration of the first one. So let's get into it. Now we're here on my computer here, so you can see Linux is used quite often in forensic. One of the few distributions that I like a lot for Linux would be Caine and Paladin Edge. Now Caine is free, and Paladin is also free if you... Oh, I'll show you everything. So let's say you have Paladin Edge. So let's say you want to look at Caine. Now Caine, I don't have a bootable USB, so let's just have a look at Caine first. So here I have my VMware, and I'm going to power on the VMware. Let's have a look at Caine, all the tools it's got. So let's just start Caine here. So it's just booting up now, and then we can look at what Caine can do. Caine is pretty good. I mean, a lot of people do use Caine. All the features. Now I can't go full screen here because it's I'm not gonna install the add-ins for VMware to go full screen, but at least we can see what it can do. Okay, so here we are in Caine desktop. Obviously, most of the time you're gonna use Caine on a bootable USB, and I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna make bootable USB of the other tool of Paladin Edge. So let's see what they have here for forensic tools. We have analysis tools, autopsy, photorec. These are free. You can see there's quite a bit of tools here. They also come with documentation you can check on their website. You have the SQL parser for disk. You have DDoSQView, DVD master, test disk. There are just so many here. VHD mount, Recuperabit. Actually, I've never used this one before. So for hashing, you have for malware scans. You can do memory forensics. There's quite a bit of tools, and these are all free, by the way. So that's Caine forensics. As you can see, there's a lot to choose from. You know, autopsy probably being one of the better tools on here, because with autopsy you can do your full-blown investigation. A lot of people actually use autopsy for the investigation. So you have Guy Major here. So with Guy Major you can make images and clone drives. So there's a lot of tools. But anyways, that's Caine. I'm not going to go into depth into it because I don't use it very often. I'm more of a Paladin kind of guy, so let's just suspend this machine here. So let's go over to Paladin. So with Paladin, you have 2 options. You have either you're going to buy it, which is, you know, it's only $25. Let's look here. It's only $25, but you know, if you really wanted to test it out and you don't want to pay for it, just put 0 here, add to cart, go purchase, fill out the information, and then you're gonna get a download link for the ISO. So let's just say, let me get a USB drive. 1 second. Okay, so I plugged in a USB drive. I found this I don't know, 4 gig drive here laying around. I just do a quick format. Oh, that's 532. Call it Paladin.
So once it's formatted, and then you have your ISO, we're gonna use Unet Button to. So Sumuri, they recommend you use Unet Button to create the flash drive for Paladin. So it's quite simple. I mean, you can probably use Etcher if you want, or even DD if you like. I mean, it's an ISO, right? So disk image, we gotta make sure that we're using the right drive. Let me make sure I don't put it on a different drive by accident. And this is drive I. So drive I, we choose our disk image. So here we go, we have our disk image. You don't have to change these space here. This is only if you're using something else like non-forensic tools, but so just hit OK, and this will take a few minutes depending on the speed of your flash drive. The one I'm using is the USB 2. That's the smallest one I had laying around, so we can try creating a bootable drive. Once that is done, we're gonna go over to a computer. I'm gonna take my Lenovo, which is got M2 NVMe drive. So let's pretend we don't have an NVMe reader. We want to take an image of that computer for forensic purposes. So we're gonna boot that flash drive on my Lenovo, and we're gonna take an image. We're gonna hash it, and we're gonna write it to a portable drive, and we're gonna have a forensic image. So process is quite simple, but I want to take you through it, and I'm going to show you how it's done. And then we're also going to have a look at Paladin, all the tools they have in there and everything else. So once that's done, I'm going to go and prepare the laptop now, and we can take an image. Okay, so now we're entering the boot menu. We're gonna boot from a USB. So the Paladin is plugged in, and you can see my screen here. You make sure the screen is in focus there. It should be. Here we go. So a USB hard drive, and then we have the Philips USB, which is the Paladin. So we hit enter. And make sure on the computers that you have secure boot. You gotta disable secure boot, but sometimes if you have BitLocker, you won't be able to image the drive. On the Surface Pro, you won't be able to see the drive itself, but you can use Paladin for Macs as well, and a few other systems. So just wait for it to boot here. Okay, so we have Paladin loaded. Here it is, Paladin Edge. So this is the latest version. So I think once it's done loading, it should start up the Paladin toolbox. But if it doesn't, I'll go to it in a minute. So let's see what sort of tools we got here. We have a quick start guide. So if you want to look at the guide, it's here for you. You have Sumo remote services, never had to use those. You have terminal and then all the other Linux stuff. And is there anything in here? Some remote services, pretty much what you saw here. So all I really care about on the Paladin is the Paladin toolbox. So I've also plugged in my target drive, which is this SSD. So make sure your SSD is larger than the drive in the computer. And make sure if this is a forensic case, you have to be very, very careful not to boot the computer, because then you're gonna mess with the evidence. So you know, the best solution here would be really to take out the NVMe drive out of this computer and use a tool like I showed in my previous videos. Let me show you what else I use. You can also use one of these things. You can pop in a NVMe drive in here. It's got a USB connection, obviously, to a write blocker. Don't plug it in directly into your machine, then you're not risking booting the evidence. But sometimes that's the only option you have. You might not be allowed to open the computer, which I mentioned in my other videos, right? So yeah, so it tells me daily times displayed in Paladin toolbox recorded in logs are based on the whole system. So also make sure, check your time and date in your system. That's very important in any investigation. Number one, take photos of the evidence, and also check the time and date, because you could be testifying in court and the question can ask you, have you checked the time and date on your system? And then you better have proof, because when I was in court in the other province, the other expert was asked that if he checked the time and date, and he didn't on the devices we were examining, and I did, except I forgot about it. But when they asked me in court, I actually pulled out my phone, I went through my photos, and yeah, I do have it. Here's a photo of the time and date on the device. So I did do it, just didn't put it in my report. So, you know, something to keep in mind. So let's first go to disk imager. So first we are going to format our target drive. We're gonna use NTFS, and we're gonna call it forensic image. Okay, we're gonna format our target. So our target has been formatted, okay. And here also we see we have our source drive, which is the NVMe. So /dev/NVMe0 is the drive. Now this is my personal computer. This one's running OS 10. It's not Windows and Linux, but it doesn't matter what you're imaging, as long as you can image it. So we're gonna go to the image menu, and we're gonna choose our source, which is the drive right here, and this will do the entire drive. So NVMe 0 and 1. If you see 0 and 1, P1 is the partition 1, which is the EFI, and then P2 is the main partition. So we're going to choose the entire drive. Clone type, we can do DD, and we can do RAW. DD, we can do EWF, which is a forensic format, which is E01, EWF2, which is another forensic format. You get Smart S01. You can do DMG, and also do VMDK and VHD. So, you know, the options are what you see here. It's they don't do advanced forensic format, AFF, but that's okay. So in most cases, if you're making imaging for a company or for someone else, or for you choose the imaging you like. So in my case, we're going to choose E01. Then we can put our details. So we can put case number. Let's say it's 1000. Then evidence number 1, evidence examiner name, so it's me. Oops, kind of hard to type when I'm on the angle here, so you guys can get a good look. Oops. Okay, description, Lenovo laptop. Compression level, you can compress. I don't particularly like compressing my evidence. I just want to do the entire drive, so that's okay. Destination, so it already the only option it gives us is the 1 terabyte SSD. We can give it a label if you want, NVMe forensic image. You can verify after creation. You can also break it down into segments. I don't like segments. I usually do the entire, and I do verify when I create the image, but I'm gonna uncheck it because I don't care for it right now. It's just a demonstration for YouTube. Additional images, so you can do another clone if you like. So it's these are the options you have. So you can have 2 tabs here for both images. So we got, let's recap here. So we have source, which is the NVMe in this computer. We have the type of image we're gonna make, so E01. Destination, which is got portable disk drive right here, and the label, and that's gonna be it. And now it's as simple as hitting start. Now before I hit start, you can also have image converter. So if you have an image, you can load your image, you can convert it to a different type. Find menu. You can do your keyword searches. You can also do just unallocated. And this image we saw me use earlier to format my target drive, and then network share. You can mount a network share if you want to do it over network. You can obviously mount your network share, but it all depends on the speed of the network in this computer and your network you're imaging to. So you're not going to be doing that unless you have time or really fast network. So even though we have gigabit here, I don't want to be sitting here waiting for 500 gigs to be imaged. You also have help here, so you need to read something, and everything is here for you. So we're pretty much done. So let me just double check source. Oh, well, apparently if you exit the tab, you lose your settings. Okay, so let's choose that. Destination, SanDisk, EWF. Okay, so all you gotta do is hit start, and the imaging is going. So this is using DC-FLDD on the background, I think, if I'm not mistaken, but that's how imaging is done on some machines that you can remove the NVMEs. I remember back in the day when the NVMEs first showed up and there was none of these adapters. We didn't have any of these. I remember having to use Paladin quite often, so I think we used Paladin pretty much all the time. I had just a dedicated Paladin USB drive that I would just, computer would come in for imaging, we'll plug it in, and we'll just go on and make our image. So yeah, but nowadays we have DeepSpire, NVMe add-on, we have PC3000, we have this thing, we can plug this in through a write blocker, through Gardonics. So it's good to have all these tools, right? Anyway, that's it for this video. Very simple one. Just want to talk about the imagers and the free tools. I might dive deeper into Caine forensics because there's a lot of tools in there that probably would deserve additional attention, because there's another kind of tools I can discuss quickly in this video, because this video I just want to show you how to get Paladin, how to install it, and then how to use it. It's quite simple. For imaging is great. You can also use it if you have a failing disk. You can try using it. I wouldn't recommend it. If you really don't have any tools, then probably DD Rescue on Linux would be your best bet. I have my own forensic station that I built myself, which is on Linux. It has all the forensic tools installed. Let me see if I can move the camera over there. So here we go. So I'm just wiping a bunch of drives. There's drives here and drives there. I can plug in 8 more drives to the station if I really need to wipe drives. So usually after we're done each week with hard drives, we just plug them in here and we wipe them. I usually use /dev0 into the device, and I erase the drive.
Okay, so here we are again for another video. It's part 5. This is something that's supposed to be ended in part 2 or part 3. Someone made a funny comment on one of my Facebook posts, said I better watch them now before it turns into a Fast and Furious saga. Well, apparently it is. I should probably name these episodes with something Fast and Furious style. Anyway, thank you for being here for another video. If you haven't already, subscribe. Give me a like on this video. I mean, it takes 2 seconds and really helps my videos get them out there on the YouTube algorithm. So just hit subscribe, follow, like, all that stuff. You know what to do. Anyways, this is not your first rodeo. You've been to YouTube for how many years now, right? So anyway, so today's video is going to be about forensics once again. It's a part 5 to that series. I'm going to go over some more free tools that you can download right now and use. So I mentioned Autopsy before and some other ones, but I haven't mentioned these ones. So there's still more tools that I have here. It's just I figured these are the ones that I use, so I figured why not also mention these ones. So there's no particular order to these tools. It's just the ones I open in the tab here, so I can go over them. But like I said, there's way more tools than that. It's just the ones that I would use on the case. So the first tool here, and I'm going to also link all that below so you don't have to search for this stuff. I'll make it easier for you. So the first tool is a bulk extractor. So this can quickly go and extract a lot of specific documents or emails or things of that nature. You can ignore the file system. It's quick, so really worth checking out. So bulk extractor, it's free. The link is here on Forensic Wiki, so you can go there. So I'm going to link this link, not this one here. This is just from DFIR training, but the actual link is right here. And just close this tab. I think my ad blocker is preventing loading this website, but anyways, you shouldn't have the problem. We have a pretty secure network here, so a lot of stuff doesn't go through. So that's why it's not loading for me. If I were to disable my ad blocker, I'll probably pick that up. But anyways, that's besides the point. Next to is Eric Zimmerman Tools.
There's a lot of tools to go through here, so I'm not gonna go through each individual, but just have a look here on my screen. You can see there's a lot. The AM cache parser, compact cache parser, BS strings. That'll be pretty useful if you want to dump a bunch of strings. Easy viewer, so I guess you can view a bunch of documents easily. You have a hasher, JLEC command, jump list explorer. So quite a lot of tools here. MFT tools. There's just so much to go through here, so you know, for the sake of the length of this video, I'm not gonna go through each one of them, but easy tools definitely should be in your toolbox if you are in forensics. This is something you should have. Let's keep going. So NitSoft is another one. They have a lot of free tools to get for web browser pass view. This is for password recovery tool, and these are updated too. You can see network password recovery. So a lot of tools here. So I haven't even used maybe 5 of those. So there's network monitoring tools. What else we got here? Web browsing tools, browsing history view, browsing downloads view, browsing bookmarks view. So definitely something you should be using in your toolkit if you are in fact doing forensic audit on the computer. And you know, nowadays most forensic examinations are involving computers, have a lot to do with internet, so you are going to most of the time dumping stuff that was related to internet search or things like that. Very rarely you're gonna get something other than that. I mean, we get cases sometimes when we have to look at USB devices that were plugged in and things of that nature, but a lot of times is internet stuff. You can see I keep going here. There's just so many. There are just so many tools. But yeah, so this is another bunch of tools you can use. And another one that I use with my Gardonics is FTK Imager. So this tool is free. All you gotta do is go to this link here, and then they'll send you a link for download. Totally free. If you know who Access Data is, they make pretty good forensic tools, but they also give you some free stuff. So this freebie FTK Imager, really good. You can image any drive and hash it. You can do a bunch of forensic formats. Really useful. I use it quite often with Gardonics. Another one is Magnet. Magnet, you've seen me use Magnet. It's a great forensic tool, but they also have a lot of free stuff. So App Simulator lets you test Android apps. Encrypted disk detector. That's pretty good, because if you might end up sometimes imaging a drive and you don't know why you don't see a file structure, or you just see a bunch of garbage. Could be encrypted. So quick way of testing, using EDD, you run it and it tells you if it's encrypted or not. I actually used their built-in feature from Axiom, which is this particular feature, on one of my videos. You can see that I was able to figure out why my recovered USB wasn't working. It was because it was encrypted. You can do RAM capture, web page saver. That's very useful. Web page saver is very useful because if you might have a case where the mandate is to go and download a website, so it gives you everything there. Custom artifacts generator, really useful as part of Magnet Axiom. Word list generator, that's great for if you have Magnet Axiom, you can use your word list generator. And Magnet process capture. That was a free tool that lets you capture different devices. So yeah, one thing is, don't use, if you're gonna register Magnet and to download these tools, if you're gonna use something like info@whatever, they will not send you a download link. So be careful what an email you use. Make sure it's not some kind of generic email, because their filter is gonna ignore your email. Another one, Volatility. I haven't used this one, but I've heard this one's really good for capturing memory. So I can't say much if I haven't used it, so I'm not gonna even try. Another one, Mac APT. So it's artifact parsing tool. So Mac APT is a tool to process Mac computer full disk images or live machine to extract data, metadata, useful for forensic investigation. You can work on any image that includes AFF4, which is a new forensic format that we're starting to see now more often and use. So pretty useful tool if you're doing Mac forensics. Another one, XMount. With XMount you can convert on the fly different file systems. So it's a free tool once again. definitely useful if you have different images. Another one here, Agent Ransack. I haven't used this one myself, but it's a file searching utility, so I'm sure you're gonna have sometimes multiple images or drive sources. You might have to search for some files, and you just need a quick way of searching it. I'm guessing this would be a tool to use. And is it free? Ah, it's free for both commercial and personal use, so that's good. Let's keep going here. This one took me a while to find. I remember using this years ago, and I have it installed, but I forgot the name of it. I have so many tools installed, I just completely forgot. I was like, holy crap, which tool was it that I was using back in the day? I haven't used this in a long time, but it's good that I just found it again. It took me some time to find this. So they have forensic tools here. They have Windows Registry Recovery, Windows File Analyzer, Internet History Browser, Email History Browser, Instant Messaging Browser. So definitely very good tools in forensics. Once again, they're free. Let's open the screenshot here, so you can see once you load your registry, you can go through every single section of registry. Definitely useful if you are doing forensics on a Windows machine, and if you're going to work in the corporate world, you will be doing a lot of Windows forensics. So definitely useful. Just I think if you're in the corporate world, you're gonna have you're not gonna be able to install anything you want. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to probably go through the IT department and before they let you install any tools you want. So definitely you can suggest this tool to your IT administrator if you are in a corporate world and doing forensics, and they're gonna let you install it, or they won't. I don't know. Depends on your IT person. But they have other tools here that are not specific to forensics, network tools, network meters. So definitely a lot of interesting tools that you can use, and they're free, which is great. And then there's these two. I haven't used these two. Decode. What does this do? We are pleased to announce the recent digital code. The useful free application has been featured in numerous forensic books and people over the years, and continue to add some features. So what does it do? Someone suggested this tool to me. I haven't a chance to have a look at it, so I figured I'm gonna look with you, see what it does. Oh, you can decode timestamp data, which is very useful. Sometimes you might get timestamps in different format, and I've had this in many cases. I had to convert it, and sometimes it could be wrong, and then it won't look good if you do it in a report, but then you're gonna look kind of stupid. So it's good to use tools like this. So decode to decode the timecode, and data dump. It's a free tool which allows you to dump segments of data from an original storage image, physical image. It can be useful following extract stream of binary data. That's pretty useful too. I'm gonna be getting these two because I'm gonna find them quite useful for my cases. So two more tools I can add to my arsenal. I think it's a win. And the last one that I can think of is OSF Mount. OSF makes forensic tools, but they also have some free ones. So OSF Mount I use often when mounting a disk image. Definitely, if you have some weird images or something you want to mount quickly as a drive in your Windows forensic machine, you can use OSF Mount to mount it, and you can work off of the image. If you just want to work on small subset of data, if you don't want to put the entire image to your forensic software and waste a day or whatever, so OSF Mount, it's a great option. And you can see it mounts different type of images: DD, which is a raw image, VMDK, E01 for forensic images. Does it support advanced AFF? Yeah, it supports AFF, so that's good because you're gonna see a lot more AFF format nowadays. Even we use AFF now more often for our cases because it's just better. It's a better format. So yeah. So that's gonna wrap it up on free tools. Like I said, quick video. I figured I'm gonna put together a list of free tools that you should be playing around with. Obviously, I mentioned Autopsy last time. Definitely, that's the one tool you should be playing around with. You know, make a fake case, run it through the software, see what you can find. If you go to ISFC, which I mentioned in the first video, there's some fake cases there you can grab, and you can see how you do with these. If one day in the future I decide to make a part 6, I might. It won't be anytime soon. There might be some different video next week. But I think this series is at its end now. There's no more parts to be added. I think I covered everything that I think it's fundamental in this field. So that's why I'm happy with this last part. I don't know what I want to be adding anymore. So yeah, thanks for watching. Make sure you like it and subscribe, all that stuff I mentioned in the beginning of the video. You know what I'm talking about. And I'll see you in the next video. Won't be forensics.